3 songwriting tips that I wish I'd have started doing right from the very start. So hi guys, my name's Steve. Welcome back to the channel. I'm going to start doing a series of videos to help people with songwriting in particular, not necessarily just producing, but you know, the lyrical side of things, because that's one side of thing that I think a lot of people can struggle with. And I just want to share these 3 tips because back when I first started writing songs, these are things I wish I had have done. So I would always look and see all these different songwriters' names on a song, and I go, why is there 30 people's names on a Dua Lipa track? A song that sounds so simple. And then I'd always wonder why that happens. And I'd never, up until, you know, a few years back, ever written with anyone else. I'd always written songs by myself. And I'd had, you know, relatively good success. I'd have a lot of songs played on national radios, big rock radio stations, BBC, things like that. However, I wanted to be able to pump out those kind of songs more consistently, and I wasn't doing it. I started working with better producers, and as soon as I started doing that, I was shadowing them and watching them. And one of the things that they did was they had these writing sessions where they would have maybe 1 or 2 producers in the room, that have a couple of the band members that were the writers of the band, and then they would have maybe another writer in the room. There'd be like 5 or 6 people in a room, and they'd start writing together. And wow, it was, in some cases it was a lot faster. In some cases, to me, it seemed like it took a lot more time because 6 people agreeing on one line didn't always work. But what it did do is it gave me a new perspective on the way people approach their lyrics and the way they think about things. So someone would point something out and go, yeah, but that word kind of sounds like you mean this, and blah, blah. So it was very evident to me that you can come up with a lot more ideas a lot quicker if you've got more heads in the room and more ideas in the room. I mean, I know that sounds like a really obvious thing to say, but for ages, I was against the idea of writing with someone else. Now I have a writing partner, and I have a few writing partners depending on the genre that I'm working on. If I'm working on like R&B and pop, I work with my brother Mike. If I'm working on country, pop and rock, I work with Emma Jane Norman, who's someone you've seen on this channel. So I tend to work with more people. Now I've worked with lots of other artists, and writing with someone else really, really, really does help. So give it a try, see how you get on with it, and then go back to writing a song by yourself. What you'll find is the influences of all these other people that you work with will start to rub off on you, and you will start to rub off on them, and it just helps everybody become more creative. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to write in different locations. Now this might seem like an odd one, but 2 of the best songs I think I've ever written have both involved me being somewhere that is not my normal writing station. So my normal writing station is here at my desk, in front of my computer, on my own, with my headphones on, looping the track, etc. That's how I normally write my songs, if I'm not writing with someone else. But when I wrote a song with my old band called Playing With Fire, the guys had written the music. They were great musicians, way better than me. So they sent me the track over. I listened to it. I couldn't come up with anything. Normally the song ideas at that time were coming to me thick and fast. This one just didn't stick. Couldn't come up with anything. It was in a higher register. I just couldn't come up with any ideas. Couldn't think of anything that would match this ferocity of the sound of this track. So I was in a coffee shop nearby where I worked, and I was literally just waiting on some coffees, and I was stood by the window, and a fire engine just flew past the building, and I had my headphones on listening to the track, and the word fire immediately was in my head. And then I thought about what the fire engine was doing. It was probably going to a burning house, burning building. So then what I did was I very quickly got my notepad open, and I started writing down loads of associated words. So lots of words that associate with fire, and then try to link them to a relationship. So like a relationship that was burning apart. It was like living in a house of smoke and flames, and it was very rapturous. And, you know what I mean? So like I tried to take all those words and then amalgamate that. And then I had that song written in 20 minutes. That song went on to be played on radio stations like Kerrang and Planet Rock. And that was probably one of the best songs lyrically I think I've ever written. And it was probably the song that had the most success as well. So sometimes being in a different location can sometimes just spring ideas. I had another one as well called Daydreaming. I was actually sitting outside, and I saw two people kind of walk past each other, and they kind of looked at each other. You know that thing where it's like, yeah, I've seen you, and yeah, I've seen you. So then I had this idea of this song, like, I wonder what they're thinking about each other now, if they think of each other at all for the rest of the day. So then I came up with this song called Daydreaming. And again, one of my best performing songs I've ever put out. So write in different locations. Don't always just sit in the same spot. Sometimes it can start to feel like work. Get out and about, put your headphones in, get your phone out, get your notepad open, and just see if something around you inspires some new ideas. Okay, and the third and final one is active listening. It was only when I really started getting into producing properly that I started doing this. There was an old saying that, you know, good artists copy, great artists steal. I'm not suggesting you just go out and copy someone's songs, lyrics, corporate, and all the rest of it. But what I mean is if you've got a song and you think, actually, this song would be similar to, go and listen to a couple of songs that would sound like the song that you're trying to make. And don't necessarily listen to what they're saying or what they're playing, but listen to what they're doing. So if the song starts off with an emotive piano piece, maybe think about starting your song with something a bit more stripped back. It might not be piano, it might be guitar. Then they'll introduce a new sound, and you'll notice if you listen to the song in bars, the good songwriters and producers will introduce something new every sort of like bar or two, just to keep the song interesting. You'll start listening out for the rises and the fades and the different elements, the transition sounds that they use between sections. You'll start to notice the way they do their ad-libs and backing vocals a little bit more, how they structure the layers of their vocals, how many layers of vocals have they used, listening to the vocal production, where they've left space. Have they filled that space with a little guitar lick or a triplet, a piano part, whatever it might be? By actively listening to the song, you start to notice things about songs that you probably didn't realize were there when you just listened to it or heard the track, when you were just listening to it casually. Literally sit and break a song down in its full entirety. Listen to it bar by bar and the structure. And then start writing your song based off the inspiration from that. And every now and then, when you're writing your new song, just refer back to that track and go, okay, my song now, I'm 12 bars in, it's starting to be a bit samey. What did they introduce to their song after 12 bars that I could maybe implement into my song at 12 bars to keep this song moving along? As soon as I started doing that, songwriting started improving. And now I think the last 11 or 12 songs that me and Emma have written, either for ourselves or for other people, have all gone to BBC Introducing. And those artists have all had their first plays on BBC Introducing based on the songs that we've co-written with them. So these things have only consistently started to happen since we started implementing these things. So they do work. So that's just 3 things to try. There's loads more, but I think if you try and think about too many things, you end up with information overload and you end up not doing it. So just try and implement maybe even just one of those 3 things into your next songwriting session and see how you get on, and let me know. If this video has been useful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. There's going to be loads more videos like this, and I'll be back with another one really soon.